How's it going, guys? It's Mouseball, and this is the AttackMouse Nation and my salty gearheads. Welcome to the automotive side of my YouTube experience. And oh my God, we are going through some corners here, and we are going through the point of view of this beautiful Millennium Yellow Z06. Now, as you can see, guys, we have a Camaro pace car that is moving ahead, but we are going through some pretty tight corners, and Mike is really giving it the gusto here. And these almost 305 section width tires are gripping like no other. I believe they're 285 if I'm correct, right, Mike?
Yeah, they're 285s.
Okay, they're 285 section width tires. These are basically the same width as what Jasmine has for stock on the Z06 Corvette. Now, that's not actually a bad thing when you think about it, because the C5 actually had 275s, if I remember correctly, right in the rear. We have 3 pace cars.
Another Honda. Again, not a sponsor.
And I don't think that the Savage Geese would like us, you know, putting down too many Hondas now, would they?
No. And honestly, it's kind of funny to say it sometimes, but Honda does make a decent car. Actually, I was just in an Accord with a 6-speed, not the current generation, but similar to the one I had, just a sport model. You know what? If you have to have a 4-door reliable transportation and you can find with a 6-speed, you could do worse. I'll admit that. So oh yeah, hello Mini Cooper.
I don't know, man. I think, to be honest with you, I would rather have a Toyota Camry. With the way Toyota's been building their cars as of late, they're putting a little more soul into them. I think the return of the Supra has a lot to do with that. So
yes, I was actually behind one of the new Siennas, which sounds like, okay, who cares? It's a Sienna. But if you actually look at the new Sienna in profile, they put the same rear arches as the Supra. I'm like, that's actually very interesting to have a minivan with Supra DNA in it. But hey, I'm glad they're using some of the design language again, like you said, to spice up their current lineup.
And I think that's really important, that the actual, you know, granddaddy of the lineup, the car that signifies the sporting intentions and the actual fun of driving, actually does, you know, a little something for the rest of the lineup. Because when you have a brand like Toyota, which is not necessarily a brand that you want to drive to have fun in, unless you, of course, are buying a Supra, well, you know, if you have no choice but to have a Camry or a Corolla or a Sienna, for instance, or even a Venza, well, it's really nice to know that some of the actual DNA is in these cars from the Toyota Supra. And Mike will tell you firsthand that the new Corolla hatch is by far one of the better cars that's on the market for Toyota.
Yeah, I gotta say, the Toyota, if and when, there's rumors upon rumors, it's just a matter of, I think, when. The Corolla hatchback gets a more powerful engine, something with a turbo, added in with the 6-speed manual. That is a fun little car. It doesn't have quite the practicality of the Civic hatch, I will admit, but I think it's the better looking, better car of the two. Actually, funny enough, now that you're talking about the Supra and brand DNA, I'm sure you saw, and I believe I sent it to you last night, correct me if I'm wrong, the new 400Z, some of the pictures of a production model.
Yes, I have.
Leaked online. You know what, I have to admit, if Nissan gets any of that DNA, I know there's controversy, but hey, you know what, at least it's not a BMW.
Well, to me, the 400Z is a big improvement over the previous Zs. To me, it looks more like a Fairlady and a little bit of 280 and 260.
A little bit of the 300ZX in the taillights. Can't hate that.
No, but I mean, it's more 280, 260 to me, at least in my opinion. The you know, 300Z definitely had that long light bar as well. But I mean, just by the profile and the looks of the car, the short rear deck and the long nose at the front, plus the, you know, uncluttered front end, you know, it's a very simple and very clean design. It might be slightly boring for some, But when it comes down to people who are into Zs, you know, you can't beat it. No doubt about it. I mean, it's a hell of a car, and it looks great in yellow, by the way. Which we're in a yellow Z06, and obviously for anybody who is into cars that have pop-up headlights, well, this one has them, and they are by far one of the best party pieces of this car. Also, they allow you to not only point the car in the right direction at night, but then also they accentuate these gorgeous hood bumps on the front of the car, which obviously Jasmine has those in spades as well. You know, I mean, they're more pronounced in Jasmine, I would say, and they're more organic in Mike Z06's Corvette Z06. And Mike's going to interject with a couple of thoughts on this drive and what he thinks of his car.
No, it's okay. You may have seen a gentleman just off screen there. His name is John. Actually, on the way to your place, Jose, at this light, just stopped, had a little chat with him. He's actually got some pretty cool stories from his old days with the Pontiac Firebird and whatnot. And just as a little reminder, everyone, it's like, hey, there are car guys everywhere in both great situations and not so great situations. So just keep that in mind with everybody that you see, and you never know what interesting people that you might meet in unlikely places.
Exactly. But Mike is also going to tell us a little bit about how he feels about this car. He's had the car for what, maybe just under a year?
Since November, so it's going on October or November. I believe November is when it actually finally arrived. Yeah, it's going on 6 months, actually, half a year. I can't believe the time has flown. You know what I have to say about it? I had a C6 previously, 3LT. It did not have the Z51 pack, and I think for me, coming from a line of Miatas, and just smaller, more fun, you know, really just lighter cars, I got into the C6 with the wrong expectations. It was a beautiful car, Daytona Sunset Orange. I think having the base suspension in the longer gearing, it was a 6-speed, it didn't quite satiate the sports car sense. Whereas in the C5 Z06, even though it's technically less power, mine's an 01, the 385 horsepower model, with the gearing, with the suspension and everything, the way the engine does like to rev out, as mentioned earlier, it hits that sports car balance, but it still feels, and it comes from an era, oh, there's a C5 right there. How about
there,
that?
yeah. And that guy didn't even wave, which is a actual criminal offense when it comes down to owning a Corvette. So if we ever find that guy, we're gonna draw and quarter him with actually a couple of Corvette horses. So there's no doubt, if you are a Corvette owner and you don't wave, well, guess what? We're gonna come and find you. That's for sure.
For sure. And you know what? I think Savage Geese makes this point very well. This still comes from an era where even the more higher performance sports cars still had a sense of being not just track capable, but road capable. That is, they don't beat you up. I do wish it was a little bit louder. It's actually sufficiently loud from the outside, I think. I wish a little bit more of that noise came from into the interior. I'll admit that. But it hits that sweet spot. Fun to drive. Can definitely feel how this would be awesome on the track. But you could do some pretty long trips in this, which I've actually furthest I've gone to St. Augustine, which is a pretty long-legged trip for us down here in Florida and whatnot, especially during this time of what everybody's going through with lockdowns and whatnot. So it's been a blast. I
Exactly.
really like this car.
And I mean, again, this car, you know, it fills the lightweight, agile sports car, and I mean, it's wide, it looks exotic, and there's no doubt you might be intimidated at first when you first drive it, but once you get used to it, it's like wearing a tuxedo. It's like wearing a Italian suit that Armani made specifically for you, and it's custom tailored to your body and to your specifications. Now, the thing about this car is that yes, it's a very comfortable cruiser, and no doubt you don't need a Challenger or a Charger. You don't need a rolling couch to have fun, and have power. And the thing is that sometimes 707 horsepower or 540 horsepower or more horsepower isn't always the answer to everything. Sometimes best way to go. So no doubt about it, guys. I hope you enjoyed this video, and now what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and we're going to do a comparison with Mouseball. We're going to get Mike's thoughts on Mouseball, and then not to mention that, we're also going to go on a peg hunt and do the old man diecast peg hunt extravaganza. So guys, stay happy, stay healthy, stay wealthy, and remember, if you need a Miata extra large, guess what? Buy a Z06. Take it easy, guys. Mouseball out.